Welcome to another episode of Chasing Labels. I am your host, Stephen Billings. And how are you guys out there? I'm doing good. That's the audience.
That's the studio audience.
Yeah, that's
just like old school sitcoms from back in the day.
No, I mean, honestly, the studio audience would be more like meow, meow.
Yeah, I know. Because you have a cat.
Yeah, I got a cat. And you don't have any animals in your room, right?
I do not. Okay, other than I have a Pink Panther stuffed animal right in front of me that's staring me down.
He doesn't usually say anything.
Yeah. I used for a video review of the Pink Panther movie collection from Shout Factory, and I just never put it anyplace else other than just sitting on a speaker in front of me. So it's just sitting there staring at me.
You just look at him
constantly.
Yeah, I was gonna say he just looks at you, and you hear the music in your head. Yeah, you gotta finish it. You gotta finish it. But Andrew Cabral is here with me, of course.
I am indeed.
Where are we at? Spine number what?
This is spine number 111, 111, if you want to abbreviate it. For a second, I still thought we were on 110, but apparently that was last week.
Yes.
Don't ask me how time is moving right now because I couldn't tell you. It's midway through, or nearly midway through August, and it feels like it's going by so damn fast these weeks.
I know football season's starting, preseason, and I'm
preseason has started already.
I hate it because I don't like football.
I know you don't. I know you don't.
And baseball season's still going, and I'm like, guys, just hold up.
You know what's great? Okay? This happens every year. Baseball and the baseball and football season overlap, and the coverage and just the feel on social media and all that kind of stuff just shifts rapidly from baseball to football, like suddenly, like
fucking
a quick dime.
Fucking annoying.
And it just happens every single year. But yes, it is that time of year for those of you who are football fans. If you're not, I mean, then you're not.
Me?
Like Steven.
Yeah, I'm not.
Also, we don't really talk about it on here because this is a predominantly movie collecting podcast.
They want to know about our interests other than movies, right?
I guess that's true.
Everybody's got other interests.
Very, very much so. I do talk about my love for comic books and books very often. So I guess it does kind of bleed over. It's all like part of the physical media game. You know what I mean? Collecting habits kind of transfer over.
Yeah, I collected baseball cards probably first.
You know what's crazy? I never did that, but my dad did.
Yeah.
And he's got stuff stored away from, now over 30 years. So he did that a little bit with baseball cards, basketball cards. Because that was the thing back in like 80s and 90s. I felt like that was a huge collecting thing.
Yeah.
Was that stuff.
And then Pokemon cards came along and it changed.
Yeah, I still have mine. I still have mine from the 90s. The late 90s.
I had them for a while, and then I think I gave them to my brother, maybe. I can't remember. They're gone now.
I still have mine, still have my brother's, and I can't believe Pokemon is still a worldwide phenomenon thing.
Dude, remember for like a year, there was that Pokemon catch, that app.
Pokemon Go.
Yeah. And people started driving around and getting in accidents and getting hit by cars.
I know people, they would have large gatherings at like local parks and stuff to go Pokemon hunting, and people would do it at like the mall and like stores and all that kind of stuff, and then it died just as fast as it arrived. Yeah, there are people who still do it, but it was a huge fad for about a year, couple months maybe. And then it went away. That's what happens with fads when they come and go.
When it promoted you to look at your phone other than watching where you were going, like it's what happens. So, yeah.
Well, it's kind of like any other internet fad or internet trend. They come and go so quickly, the way social media is. But moving along from there, let's get into what we love to talk about here, and that is movie announcements, upcoming Blu-rays, upcoming 4Ks. But before we get into that, we've got some news. We got some nice, pleasant news. Nice. You need the teletype, like the tick, 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 tick.
Yeah, well, I didn't have that sound.
Yeah, I know. The old typewriter and stuff.
Okay, yeah.
Or even maybe like a 60 minutes clock. Tick, 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 tick. But kind of springboarding from our last episode, some news out of Second Sight this week. First up, big news that kind of connects with last week because we talked about the Umbrella 4K UHD release of Andrei Zulawski's Possession. Well, I kind of thought Hey,
you called it, man. You called it.
yeah, I don't know if I said it on the show though.
No, you
but
did.
I did. I said okay, so I
You
did.
did. You did.
So for those of you who didn't listen, go back and listen to that because it's me telling the future where
Yes.
Possession was put out by Blu-ray by Second Sight years ago in the UK, and I was like, if they still have the rights to it, maybe they'll do like one of those big deluxe UHD 4K sets, like we've been seeing with Texas Chainsaw, with Drive, with The Guest, and just a plethora of movies. And apparently, it's on the horizon. It's in
Aha.
development. But they don't give us any details other than that it's coming.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I mean, it's a great movie. It's it's an art house horror film, and we talked about it last week. But yeah, I mean, we know Second Sight's always gonna, especially when they're up against other, companies putting out the same product, they're going to go for the throat with a great packaging. We know this.
Yeah.
And features, there'll probably be some great exclusive features that
Yeah, it does say
make.
here new exclusive bonus content and more.
Yeah.
With a movie that is this just visually grotesque, there's going to be some great artwork on this box set in some way, shape, or form. Whether it be original artwork or new stuff. I mean, just the poster of this movie alone, the artwork is incredible. This
Yeah.
Medusa vibe to it. Oh, it's incredible artwork already associated with that movie. So that's on the horizon. I'm super excited about it. The way Second Sight seems to operate, I'm guessing maybe we'll get this next year. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they don't do a lot. I mean, it's maybe one to two releases a month, maybe.
A couple, yeah. You know what I mean? It's not because there's a lot of work that's put into each of their sets, as many of us know.
Yeah.
So this maybe perhaps is something for next year. At this point, I keep forgetting that we're already in August, so there's not much time left in this year already. This would have been a hell of an October release, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, but they already have two great ones with Crimes of the Future and It Follows.
Yes.
Which I think got delayed a little bit. Didn't they both get delayed till September?
Let's see. Unfortunately, I'm actually reading it right here from their Facebook page from late July. Unfortunately, we have to move our August 28th releases of Crimes of the Future and It Follows to September 11th. This is due to our distributor relocating their warehouse and a freeze on shipping during this time. Many apologies for this unforeseen delay. So I guess their August releases are moving to September. That seems like that's what that means.
That's what it seems like.
So you were right. But we have some other news in the never-ending saga known as The Hitcher.
This saga's been going on for a couple years.
I think this has been going on for as long as we've been doing this podcast.
It's close, yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was one of the first things we ever talked about. We're pretty damn near close to it. So here's the full Hitcher update. This is from August 8th from their social media of Second Sight. We have now completed the restoration and grading and will shortly be doing QCs, which I guess is quality control.
Yes.
Due to the agreement with a third party that allowed us access to the original negative, certain conditions needed to be met. It's included approval of release date. This is currently looking like it will be of February at the earliest. So February of 2024. We had hoped to release this year, but unfortunately, this is not something we can control. The access to the negative was essential. We were happy to agree to this restriction. Thanks for bearing with us. The final result will be worth it, as I hope it will be, and as I assume it will be. So February, I guess, makes sense. I think I didn't anticipate this getting released this year. I don't know about you, Steven.
I didn't think about it too much. I just knew it was going to come eventually, and I'm happy to hear that it's coming near my birthday next year. So
nice.
Maybe it'll be in March, and since they're saying at the earliest, maybe it'll be in March, and it'll be my birthday.
Fantastic. So that is the news from Second Sight. I guess we'll start diving into some proper Blu-ray announcements for this week. Like we hinted at last week, Terror Vision is doing their 13 weeks of horror Halloween releases and stuff like that, and this was kind of their first on that journey. And this is a collection of movies available on Blu-ray. I'm assuming for the first time, and it's for the first time. That's my guess.
Yeah.
And this is Lost in the 80s, the Joe Zasso collection Blu-ray. with slipcover is available, I think, for pre-order on their site right now. And this is a collection of a few films. So I'll just read this here. Lost in the 80s is the first in a series of releases preserving media thought lost, pulled from the brink of extinction by TerrorVision, which is typically what they do. Between the ages of 13 and 18, filmmaker Joe Zasso made 4 movies with his family and friends, uh, on foot, by mail, and by phone. The young director marketed his creations to area video stores, earning shelf space among commercial studio tapes. Once rental stores fell by the wayside, Zasso's movies were relegated to tape trading and bootleg circles where their legend continued to grow. So, after more than 30 years in relative obscurity, TerrorVision is thrilled to deliver the official release of Screen Book 2, Maligno, and It's Only a Movie for their worldwide physical media debut, as I said. This is like DIY SOV stuff made in like the 80s. So it is as low, zero budget as you could possibly get. I think you can find these movies to watch in 1980s VHS quality, probably on YouTube. At least the first film you could. When I was doing a little bit of research late in the late hours of last night, you can find them on there in just the worst possible condition you could ever
Mm.
imagine. But hence why they're being resurrected from obscurity.
Yeah, I mean, and I think this is super interesting. I I don't know anything about this filmmaker, but um, to see an artist that was just in his puberty coming up with things and seeing what his influences are, and it's to see the skill of somebody at that age will be
Well, yeah,
super
it's
interesting.
very much kind of like a home movies
Yeah,
type of do-it-yourself thing. Something that I think many people are accustomed to now in the internet digital age, in the age of YouTube and all that kind of stuff. A lot of people, many people, Steven, even you have done
yeah, oh
stuff
yeah,
like that.
definitely.
So it's not too far removed from our modern day sensibilities of posting videos online. I mean, people watch videos on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube of this kind of things all the time. These type of short or even feature length films. Because if you look at these run times, these are all feature length films. I mean, last film here, it's only a movie, runs 100 minutes. So it's significant time. There are some special features here. There's a commentary with the director Joe Zasso for all 4 films. Interview with Joe Zasso, and then there's interviews with cast and crew. And then you get the version of It's Only a Movie in black and white. Yeah, so I don't know anything about these films. There are descriptions here on TerrorVision's website at terror/vision.com or dash. I don't know how to say that.
Dash.
Yeah, dash. So
Or I don't see there. So I was looking at I was gonna say, is it underscore or is it dash?
no, it's this line.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
looking
a
at Steven
dash
now
then.
through the camera. Yeah, dash.
It's a dash then.
Okay. I almost said slash, but that's not that's different.
Slash is up
That's
and down. It's
slash
vertical.
is a slash.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's it from TerrorVision, and then moving on from there is actually a Blu-ray that I am ecstatic about. When I saw this, I posted it to our Facebook group almost right away, just because I'm so excited about it. And this is Greg Araki's film, The Doom Generation, is coming to Blu-ray for the first time ever in a new 4K restoration. This is his 1990 film starring Rose McGowan, James Duval, Jonathan Sach, Dustin Nguyen, and Margaret Cho is in the film. This is a very unique film, and I saw this streaming on the Criterion Channel. Had 3 of his films streaming on there. They had Doom Generation, they had Mysterious Skin, and they had a third film, which I think was his earlier film before this one. And no, and the only one of those films that had gotten a Blu-ray release is Mysterious Skin. None of his earlier stuff had gotten Blu-ray releases yet. So yeah, this is a great film. I'm gonna read the synopsis here because just to make it easier for people. So Headed home after a wild night at a Los Angeles club, young lovers Jordan White, portrayed by James Duvall, and Amy Blue, portrayed by Rose McGowan, pick up a dangerously handsome drifter named Xavier Red, portrayed by Jonathan Sach. Jordan doesn't see a problem with offering Xavier a quick ride, but his acid-tongued girlfriend thinks he's a creep. When Xavier inadvertently kills a convenience store clerk, they are forced to go on the run, traversing a bizarre and ultra-violent America. Somehow, every random thug, drive-through operator, and neo-Nazi they encounter seem to recognize Amy as a past fling or alter ego, adding to the already explosive sexual tension brimming among the renegade trio. So it's like a quasi Bonnie and Clyde, honeymoon killers, natural born killers. It's got that seedy vibe to it, but it's also kind of a social commentary on like like youth, but when I mean youth, I'm talking like people in their early 20s. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like not quite teenagers, but people transitioning outside of teenagehood into adulthood and that type of stuff. I'm endlessly fascinated by that time period specifically. For years ago, when I was thinking about becoming a filmmaker, I wanted to make a movie that was kind of a social commentary or heavily themed on people in their 20s because I feel like
Yeah.
that's such a unique time in people's lives. There are so many teenage coming of age films,
Yes. I was gonna
and
say
but
that.
like the 20s seem to be ignored a lot unless it's like the early 20s college rom comedy or something like that.
Sure.
I always thought there was more to it, and I'm granted I was heavily influenced by Before Sunset.
Well, I think that I think that that particular genre has always been, I think, kind of covered in a different lens. It's not been covered in a lens that's really based around, I think, the experience of kids at that age today. It's usually been covered in a different way. I think in earlier films, like this kind of responsibility to get a job really fast when you're out of high school, or like, or going to the military, or like do something productive. Like it's always been like a story that I think
Right.
getting out of high school, there's been a lot of movies that base around characters like that. But in today's culture, I mean, sure, that's still kind of a thing. Like parents want you to either go to college or go to work, but it's not really been hit on it's not hit on in a serious way anymore. Typically, like you said, it's like something like super bad, or something like, something where it's like kids getting into shit because they don't know what to do with their life. Like
Mm. And
it's like
for
it's
some reason, I'm thinking of like college comedies. I'm thinking
yeah.
of Animal House. I'm thinking of the American Pie films. Well, typically like American Pie 2 and yeah, American Pie 2 and stuff like that. Because the first one
Yeah.
was when them in high school. Second one is going off to college and stuff like that. I'm thinking of a lot of those things, but then I'm also thinking of certain dramas, certain indie dramas that really don't get a lot of focus. I'm thinking of Columbus, Kogonada's
Oh
Columbus.
yeah, yeah,
People, I mean, granted, John Cho was kind of older, more in his 30s, but the other character in the film was very much younger and trying
um
to figure herself out.
yeah.
Um, I can't believe I'm completely blanking on
Is
her
it
name,
is her
even though
last name Richardson?
even though I follow all of her, social medias, yet I'm completely blank on Haley Lou Richardson.
Yeah.
That's who it is. And
Yeah, she's staying behind because her mom is sick, I think, and
yeah, like
yeah,
she's
it's what
kind of stuck in quote unquote Columbus.
yeah,
And there's a lot of films I think deal with that kind of early adulthood responsibilities that leave you stuck in a specific life situation. And I
yeah,
always find that very fascinating because it's very true to real life.
yeah.
You know what I mean? When
Well,
people get stuck, it's hard for them to break out of it.
yeah, it's typically we if we do a movie today around that scenario, it's usually like in that bridging of gap time between leaving high school and going into college that they focus on, but we don't focus on like early 20s people that are still trying to fit, like, are in the middle of it. You know what I mean? We don't
Yeah, I
see
would
that a
even
lot.
say, post collegiate, that
Yeah.
area that's post collegiate, where you're leaving school and going out into the world and trying to figure things out. There are several films that
I
do
mean,
deal
like,
with that, just not a
yeah.
lot.
I mean, like, I know it's a comedy, but like I'm thinking about, for some reason, the movie Waiting comes to my mind,
Oh, gee,
because
yeah.
it's like a bunch of young people working at a shitty restaurant, and like Justin Long's character is like a mid-20s, waiter who's trying to figure out what he's going to do with his life. His mom gets on him all the time about like, how's school going? But he's like not really going to school anymore. You're like, what are you gonna do? Oh, your friend's a lawyer now, or something. He's getting married. Like it's, you see a lot of them stories like that where you got guys kind of meandering in their 20s, like trying to. I mean, shit. Judd Apatow made a living on it.
Yeah. Ironically, you do say that. I'm thinking of another comment. Don't ask me why I'm thinking of Wedding Crashers, because there's there's the Owen Wilson character in that film who keeps, he's having those interactions with Rachel McAdams' character, and he keeps saying, I'm still young, and then she tells him, well, you're not that young. And there is a sense of Arrested Development in that film that is underlying the Vince Vaughn and the Owen Wilson character.
Yeah.
Like they're just doing this
Here,
wedding crashing thing, and that's their life.
Yeah, here's another one. Here's another one. Adventureland.
Oh yeah.
Where
Jesse Eisenberg and
Kristen Stewart.
I think it's Greg Matolo, if I remember correctly.
It's the same guy that did
coincidentally Superbad.
Yeah.
That you mentioned.
Yeah.
Adventureland came out in 2009. Greg Matola, and starring Jesse Eisenberg, Kristen Stewart, Ryan Reynolds is in that movie. Martin Starr is in there as well. Bill Hader. You'd be surprised how many movies Bill Hader randomly shows up in the 2000s. That's what I always like about going back and watching like 2000s or early 2010 comedies. There will be actors like in small bit roles that will then go on to be like bigger stars. Like I see Aziz Ansari sometimes, or Bill Hader, or just so many other, like Jason Sudeikis, and basically SNL people. Kind of like SNL people. But yeah, I just endlessly fascinated by that. And but back to the Doom generation, a big theme, of course, with a lot of Greg Araki's work is the exploration of LGBTQ sexuality and place in the world, and the very harshness of that existence, specifically in the 90s. He's very much part of that new queer cinema that developed in the 80s and the 90s, and I've always really liked his work. Recently, I mentioned in the post on Facebook that he went into the Criterion Closet on recently, and I thought we would get like some of his films released through Criterion, but I guess that's not the case. We got this Blu-ray instead.
Give it time, man. Give it time.
Give it time. And I don't know if there's any special features yet for this release. None that I can see. It just says that it's supposed to be coming out September 26th. Yeah. But I'm very excited for it. If you haven't seen his work yet, I recommend it, but it's harsh. Very harsh reality. Mysterious Skin is one of the darkest, most effed up movies I've ever seen.
It is, but it's great.
It's fantastic. Joseph Gordon-Levitt in that film, dealing with a lot of trauma. A lot of trauma. So moving on from there, I want to pick up something a little more light. Let's go to Kino. Kino had some light schlocky things.
They did.
They did. So Kino has a couple of things. First up here is Enter the Ninja from 1981. Which you can surmise is a 80s action film dealing with ninjas. So set in Japan and the Philippines, the film tells the story of Cole, portrayed by Franco Nero, a Westerner who's been inducted into the secret fighting rituals of the ninja. Coming to the aid of his friends against some land-grabbing oil barons, of course, he easily takes on all opponents until a ninja assassin, Hasegawa, is brought into the fray. The two masters make use of all the exotic weaponry at their disposal, making this one of the most sensational battles to the death sequences ever filmed. Hollywood legend Menachem Golan directed this fast-paced, high-quality, tough-as-nails martial arts film with style and poise. If you don't know who Menachem Golan is, he's one of the founders of Canon Films. This is a Canon film.
It sounds like it. And
it is.
I can't even imagine Franco Nero being a ninja.
Well, that stunt double must have had his work cut out for him. Just because I feel like
he's got them amazing eyes, but like, it's like hard for me to think of him moving in a ninja, like, especially by this time he's a little bit up in age, right? Isn't he like maybe like in his 50s by now?
Maybe
40s. Maybe he's not that old. But
Franco Nero. Let's see. I wish I knew what his birthday was. Of course, IMDb is failing me. Um, but yeah, I understand what you're saying, but it's also it's a canon film, so I wasn't
I know
expecting
that.
much.
I know, like, Charles Bronson was doing.
Oh yeah, all the Death Wish
Yeah,
sequels, and then of
he
course
was.
you had Chuck Norris doing stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, he would have been 40 when this movie came
Oh,
out,
that's
Franco
not that
Nero.
bad then. That's
I
not
guess
that
that's not
bad.
out of the realm of possibility. No.
But still, it's just him. He's always like a stoic Western hero, and it's like to see him in a ninja outfit just seems weird.
Well, they could just like cover him up in the ninja
Well,
and just
sure.
and it would be a stunt double doing
Yeah,
all
of
the
course it
action
would be, but
stuff.
still, it just in my mind, I can't see him doing that. But it's yeah.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know about canon films and that whole run of the 80s, they just put out like genre films, typically action, typically stuff that was cheap and would sell to an audience and they could make money off of it. And a lot of it was action films, like I said, like I told you, Chuck Norris, Charles Bronson, like we got Franco Nero here. It's just it was just a lot of shocking things. There's a whole great documentary about canon films. Um it's just about the whole like rise and fall of canon films. And it's yeah, Electric Boogaloo: The Wild Untold Story of Canon Films is a documentary from 2014. It's available on DVD. It may still be streaming. I know I watched it streaming. And yeah, it's a history of the independent film company, the Canon Film Group, and it's a wild ride of movies. And yeah, this is part of it, but what is also part of it is another film that I'm pretty sure uh, actually, I'm gonna skip over because I'm doing this transition. I'm gonna skip over this. American Ninja 1 and 2 is getting a Blu-ray release. These are also Canon Films movies as well. Probably more well known.
Yeah.
Starring Michael Dudikoff as this super action martial arts guy who uh, he has amnesia, but but he can only remember his martial arts, and that's about it. And that's all. That's the only thing he can remember.
It's the only thing I could do, man.
Yeah. So prepare for electrifying martial arts magic and breathtaking action galore.
I feel like this would have been a perfect Keanu Reeves role.
Yeah, it would have been something
I can
Keanu would
only
have done
do.
10,
Only
20 years after it came out.
Yeah, God, yes.
So as I was saying, prepare for electrifying martial arts
You know,
magic and breathtaking action galore as a young American becomes one of the greatest masters of ninjutsu in American Ninja. Stationed in the Philippines, 18-year-old U.S. Army Private Joe Armstrong, doesn't get more American than that name.
God.
It's like G.I. Joe come to life. Is escorting a supply convoy when it is ambushed by rebels, one of whom he recognizes as a black ninja warrior. Instinctively, Joe defends himself using the esoteric martial art of ninjutsu, an ability that puts him under suspicion by his commander and fellow soldiers. Alone in his fight against corruption, the boy finally discovers the secret of his mysterious past, a secret that pits him against the evil Black Star Ninja. Yeah, in the ultimate martial arts battle. It's exactly that. It's just action and
I,
wildness.
I just want the slip cover as a poster on my wall.
Yeah, it's pretty dope. It doesn't get more 4th of July than Michael
It's fucking
Dudikoff holding a
American,
samurai sword
whole American flag
with American
with a
flag in the
dude, two
background.
dudes sword fight, a ninja and an army guy sword fighting on the front. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's literally yeah, that sums up the move. The deadliest art of the Orient is now in the hands of an American.
Oh man.
So we also get the sequel here, American Ninja 2: The Confrontation. So
Wait, it wasn't a confrontation the first time?
yeah, I guess so. But so Michael Dudikoff is back in action and he's up against an awesome genetically re-engineered army of ninja clones in this blazing
Holy
combat
shit.
and espionage thriller.
Damn, this sounds amazing.
Yeah, so he's got a buddy in the first film called Curtis Jackson, who I believe was the actor in Gonna Get You Sucker.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they team up again in this film and they take on these army of clones. They go on a Caribbean mission for missing Marines. They find themselves matching their deadly ninjutsu skills against the elite ninja forces of the Lion. a psychotic drug lord who genetically alters his fighters into superhuman martial art killers.
Uh, yeah,
This is exactly what you want in 1980s schlockfest.
this is amazing.
Yeah.
God. All
Yeah.
right. Well, I'm sold on that
Yeah,
release.
so
I
these
want
2
that.
yeah, the reason why I went straight to these because these are directly attributed to canon. Like, these are 2 probably 2 of the more well-known canon films of the '80s. But I wanted to go back and touch on another film that they're also releasing, and I believe these are all coming out in October. So, yeah, October 31st for American Ninja 1 and 2, and then also 31st for Enter the Ninja. But we got um another film here that's similar in vibe, similar in theme, and that is The Challenge, which is directed by, of all people, John Frankenheimer.
Mm,
And this
yes.
stars Scott Glenn. It was co-written by John Sayles. Holy shit. Um, and it
Damn this
stars
movie.
Scott Glenn as an American boxer thrust into a Japanese family feud involving the ownership of an ancient sword. You know who's in this movie? And this is the reason why I watched this immediately. Toshiro Mifune
Yeah.
is in this film. I've never seen
Just
Mifune
changed
in a
fucking
film in the
everything.
'80s.
Just changed fucking everything.
Yeah, it came out in 1982. So screen legend Toshiro Mifune plays a master samurai who trains the American in the ways of the Japanese martial arts and culture so that he can assist him in following his rich industrialist brother, um, Bo- yeah, his rich industrial brother, boasting a muscular Jerry Goldsmith action score and handsome visuals. The challenge entertains and should please fans of pictures like The Yakuza, Big Trouble in Little China, and Remo Williams, as well as The Seven Samurai. Wouldn't go quite that far. Wouldn't go quite that far. A fairly obvious cinematic forebear directed by great director John Frankenheimer, directed Manchurian Candidate, 52 Pickup, Ronin, amongst many other films. Um, yeah, this is a very interesting movie of kind of that whole East meets West vibe, where Scott Glenn's got to travel to Japan and learn the ways of the samurai to help out Toshiro Mifune and his daughter, who are fighting like this family feud with Toshiro Mifune's brother, and it's all fought over this like family heirloom that happens to be a samurai sword that the brother wants, and Toshiro Mifune won't give it to him.
So this is one of them white savior movies.
Yeah, it's kind of a white savior movie. But it's Scott Glenn, and Scott Glenn's kinda cool in the movie.
Okay. Well, I
And
like
it's got
Scott.
it's got
I
Mifune
always like
being a
Scott Glenn.
samurai.
Scott Glenn's one of them underrated character actors. He just
Mm,
every time he's in something, I'm always like, yeah, I love this guy. He's
yeah, and
good.
if you're a John Frankenheimer enthusiast, or if you're like me and you have a John Frankenheimer section in your collection, you kinda need this movie to complete it, so you're kinda stuck. It is coming with a slipcover, it's got new audio commentary by film historians Steve Mitchell and Nathaniel Thompson, and that's about it when it comes to special features. I will mention this. I do want to caveat this. This is a re-release, so and Kino says the same thing here that they said on one of their previous releases. It's the same transfer as the previous release, but encoded at a higher bit rate and on a dual layered BD50 disc, giving the feature 30 megabits per second or more. That's the bit rate. So it should look better than the previous release that was on a BD25 single layer disc. We also added a historian commentary, trailer, subtitles, reversible art, and slipcover. I do want to check. Yeah, and they also wrote the same thing for Enter the Ninja. So it's just a re release in subsequently better quality. I do want to see if they wrote that for. Um, no, they didn't write that for for American Ninja. But we do have another film here that they announced earlier today. This is the Clint Eastwood film Two Mules for Sister Sara, starring Clint Eastwood and Shirley MacLaine. And is this one that they've already released on Blu-ray, and this is a re-release from them?
It might be, yeah, because it feels like we've talked about it before.
It also feels like they made some type of deal with the with somebody to yep, it is. Because they released it on Blu-ray in a 4K restoration in 2020, and now they're releasing it in 4K, and I feel like they've been doing that with a lot of Clint Eastwood and a lot of Western stuff that they've released before, and I think they got their hands on so many Clint Eastwood pictures when they made that deal with Paramount a few years ago.
Yeah.
That seems to be the case for me. I've still not seen this movie.
No, I haven't seen it either. It's
This was
it's
a Universal film, not a
yeah.
Paramount film. I just wanted to mention that. But still, it's a movie that's gotten a Blu-ray release from Universal, from Kino, and now a 4K release from Kino. So there's plenty of it to go around. It's directed by Don Siegel, who, if you know Clint Eastwood, they work together a lot on several films, including, I believe, Escape from Alcatraz was one they
Yes.
worked on. Dirty Harry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to see what else is here. The Beguiled, which I
Yep.
know they put out a Blu-ray of, which I'm pretty sure they're going to put out a 4K of. So if you haven't bought that movie yet, I'd probably just wait for the 4K announcement to come. Coogan's Bluff, they worked on together. Um, yeah, so you understand what I'm saying. But
Yep.
yeah, Two Mules for Sister Sarah is coming on 4K from Kino. Just says coming soon, doesn't give us any specific dates on when.
All right.
Where do you want to go from here?
More Eastwood. How about we go over to cult epics?
Okay. Yeah, Cult Epics is putting out this movie called The Last Island, coming out October 10th. And this is a movie from 1990. 1 year off, Stephen. Um,
Well, it's they're a little behind, but it's fine.
yeah, they
Sorry.
can't be all be winners.
Still in my life, so it's
Yeah,
cool.
very true. Mine as well. So the description they have here: 5 men and 2 women were marooned survivors of an air crash discover that they may be the only survivors of a world disaster. Um, yeah,
Is this the inspiration for the show Lost?
could be, could be. Um, yeah, I'm curious about this. I've never
It
seen this.
says it's an adult version of Lord of the
I just
Flies.
read that too.
Yeah.
It says from the Oscar-winning film Antonia's Line or Antonia's Line, which
Yeah.
I've never heard of. I don't know why I've not heard of it. If it's let's see, of course, that's IMDb is never helpful. It's the Antonia's Line, which came out in 1995. Let's see, it's a movie. A Dutch matron establishes and for several generations oversees a close knit matriarchal community where feminism and liberalism thrive. Well, that's fascinating. I want to see what it won the Oscar for. Let's see. Academy Award for Best Foreign Language Film from
Hmm.
the Netherlands. Okay. All right. All right. So I'm curious. I'm curious about this movie. I like this whole dystopian thing of perhaps last people on Earth.
Well, if it's like Lord of the Flies, we can expect people arguing over food, deciding who's in charge, all of the cliches.
All of the usual end of the world type stuff.
It's alpha males fighting each other.
Always. Always.
Yes. So,
Yeah, there's it looks like it's coming out on both Blu-ray and DVD. And the street date is October 10th. The pre-order date is September 5th. I don't see anything here in the way of special feature. Oh no, they're down at the bottom. My bad. New 2K HD transfer from the original 35mm print and restoration. Audio introduction by producer Dick Moss. Audio commentary by film scholar Peter Verstraeten. Behind the scenes of the Last Island, and the interview with political. I think it's supposed to say political, but it says Politica columnist Anne Marie Gruel from 1990. Yeah, double sided sleeve, dual layer disc. So that's Cult Epics. I don't know much of Cult Epics work. Do you know,
no,
Steven?
I don't think I even have any other stuff in my collection. So, but I know they've been around. They're just one of them smaller companies. I think throw out a release here or there. So,
Yeah, I want to say yeah they have put out a lot of releases, several of which I'm aware of, but I don't own any of them. The one that I really interested in is if this is the movie I think it is, then it's the movie I'm aware of. It's the movie Angst, the Gerald Cargill film. Yeah, they put out a Blu-ray of that film. But anywho, let's move
All
on
right.
before I get too far down the rabbit hole here. Let's go to our pals, Fun City,
All right.
because once Fun City announces a release, I think all the bells and whistles fire off in my head.
Mm,
I gotta investigate. I gotta know what's going on. I
yes.
gotta get it
Okay.
also.
All right. Calm
So
down. Calm down.
we've got the movie T.R. Baskin from 1971, starring Candice Bergen, Peter Boyle, and James Caan primarily. Candice Bergen, who many people may know from Murphy Brown, is T.R. Baskin, a naive young woman with a droll sense of humor who ventures from small town Ohio to the bright lights of Chicago in search of an interesting career, intellectual stimulation, true love, and happiness, and instead discovers that the urban existence is as unfulfilling and lonely as the one she fled. Um, and that's all I'll say. They do add some more information here, which I that it's plot stuff, which I think people really need to experience on their own. I will say this: this is once again a film that I think Fun City is unearthing that is kind of a hidden gem, or
Yeah.
at least a film that I don't think was well liked at the time. Because I went back and was reading some of the reviews or some of the critical takes of the movie. Apparently, it was very critically panned at the time, and I guess people did not like it, but I think if you give it a more modern look with a modern sensibility, you're able to get a lot more from it than I think that people were missing out back when it came out in 1971. It's a rather grim film, grim, depressing, um, you know, pessimistic look on life, really. And so at the center of the movie is this Candice Bergen character. And when reading the plot, I was kind of getting the sense of, fish out of water. Someone coming from a small town to a big town and getting just swallowed up by not being prepared for it. And the film is not really quite like that. She's actually like this like smart, strong, like intelligent person who grasps onto things rather quickly and kind of understands that Chicago is a big urban setting that you can get swallowed and lost into. And she kind of finds her niche and kind of finds her way around. And she does have this very sardonic, very almost cringeworthy, crude sense of humor where she just she will make fun of people, and she's making fun of people who are the type of people who won't pick up on it. Like there's this great scene where she and her friend go on this double date with these two like rich businessmen, and this one guy that she's paired with is the most obnoxious, misogynistic, annoying asshole ever. And he's so conceited he doesn't realize it. So the whole time she's just like making fun of him to his face, and he doesn't get it because he's so dumb.
So
And it's great.
so it's like the scene in Wayne's World where they're at Wayne's World 2, where they go to the radio station and the guy's just like, uh-huh, uh-huh. And then they're just like, you're a complete tool, aren't you?
Yes,
Uh-huh.
exactly. Exactly.
Uh so you're not really listening to us, are you? Uh-huh. We
Pre-
could say you're a complete tool,
Pretty
huh?
much. And she just ribbing this guy constantly, just doesn't get it. But that's her sense of personality, which I
Yeah.
guess when I was reading some of the reviews of the time, the audiences really didn't like the fact that she was so crude and so crass. But I think like in a modern day sense, people will appreciate that more.
Yeah.
And what is interesting about the movie is that it jumps back and forth between this encounter she has with Peter Boyle's character, and then you get to see her whole life story kind of told in flashback form. Not her whole life story, but just her getting to Chicago, finding a place to live, work, etc., etc. And they have this interesting back and forth and conversations. And then James Caan has a very small but pivotal role in this film that is rather interesting and kind of really ends the film in a rather interesting way. And yeah, I thought it was just a hidden gem of a film that I'm really excited to actually own. And it's a film directed by Herbert Ross. Now Herbert Ross, I don't know if it's a name a lot of people know, but as soon as I read off some of the work that he's done, I think people will at least know of his work. Um, he directed a few films like um, The Goodbye Girl, Steel Magnolias, Secret of My Success, which is the Michael J. Fox film from 1987. He directed that film. I think he also directed Goodbye, Mr. Chips with Peter O'Toole, the remake from, I think, the late 60s, if memory serves. Um, yeah, he directed California Suite. He also directed The Turning Point from 1977, The Sunshine Boys from 1975, which I think is a Warner Archive release. The Last of Sheila, which I know has a Warner Archive release because we talked about it when it was announced. And that movie was written by Stephen Sondheim and Anthony Perkins, and was a heavy influence on what Ryan Johnson's doing now with like murder mysteries and stuff like that. So Herbert Ross directed several, I think, rather good films, and this film is also written by Peter Hyams. Yeah, Peter Hyams, who people also may not really recognize, but I remember Peter Hyams as being the guy who directed, I guess, the sequel to 2001: A Space Odyssey, which is 2010, the year we made contact, from the early 30s, which is a movie no one ever talks about. And it's a movie I've had in my collection for many, many years and have never watched, coincidentally. But yeah, Peter Hyams, he directed Time Cop. He directed The Relic. He directed Outland, super underrated film, Outland. And of course, he also directed End of Days, which I bring up on this podcast way too much.
Yes, you do.
Yes. He also directed Sudden Death, which I think is another Van Damme film, isn't it?
It is.
Running Scared, he directed as well.
That's the what's his name? Fast and Furious guy.
Which one?
The one that died.
Paul
Walker.
Paul Walker in there?
And Paul Walker, the main character in Running Scared?
Oh, that was the film he did later on. I'm talking about Running Scared from 1986.
Okay, so that wasn't Paul Walker then?
No, it was not. But he also directed Capricorn 1. He directed The Presidio and the movie Narrow Margin as well. Yeah, so that's okay. Peter Hyams. That's Peter Hyams. So he wrote the screenplay for this film. I rather like the screenplay. It's a movie that is interesting because it's not about plot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a movie about themes. It's about this character and just kind of like living her life or trying to navigate through her life in various ways. Yeah, I thought it was really, really good. And in typical Fun City Edition nature, we're getting some special features here, some new stuff. Get in the Tent, video interview with producer / writer Peter Hyams. Speaking of which, there he is. Audio commentary by Ben Reiser and Scott Lucas. We got a booklet here with new essay in it, and limited edition slipcover with brand new artwork as well. Yeah, I would definitely recommend this film to people. I highly liked it a lot. Yeah,
great.
I think Herbert Ross also directed Footloose and Footloose as well. So I missed that too.
How do you miss?
That's probably the biggest one. Ironically, probably the biggest film he directed. But yeah, Steven, how are you doing with Fun City? Are you all caught up, or are you a little behind?
Except for the recent release of the Panic.
Primetime Panic.
Primetime Panic. I have to get that.
Yeah, that just came out.
Yeah, I got to get that. Other than that, I think I'm up to date. I believe so.
Cool. Yeah, I'm a few behind, including Primetime Panic. I still, as of this date, need to get Born to Win, the Coca-Cola Kid.
Yes.
Was it Heartbreakers? No.
Yep.
And then Primetime Panic. Yeah, and then Primetime Panic too.
So you already
I have Party Girl.
I was gonna say you already got Party Girl.
Yeah, I actually ordered it on my birthday, coincidentally. I don't ask me why I correlated that with my birthday.
You wanted to be a party girl on your birthday.
I guess. But speaking of parties, I don't know how I want to transition into that. Let's go to Shout Factory because people shout at parties, right?
This is my party and I cry if I want to. Sorry, I like to sing.
I thought you were going to do the second verse for that, but yeah.
No, it's the same thing. Cry if I want to, cry if I want to.
Yeah, I know it is. What an anthem. What an anthem for a whole generation.
Too if it happened to you. Okay,
you know what I remember that song from?
Problem Child.
Problem Child, yes, I did. When he ruins that little girl's birthday.
Yeah, he's just crying all the time. And he just keeps just destroying everything.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
doesn't he basically, like, poisons the kids so that they all vomit, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he
Is
does a
that what
lot of
happened?
shit.
Yep. Kid was a problem, hence the title of the movie, A Problem
Yeah.
Child.
Yeah.
But let's go shout some stuff out at over at Shout Factory, who is incessant right now by putting out Shaw Brothers centric box sets. They are on a mission from God, I think, or somebody.
Oh, now they've
Uh,
passed Arrow in sets now.
yeah, they got 3 sets, and now this is their fourth Shaw Brothers centric set. So, Shout Factory has announced they will release on Blu-ray the T. Lung / David Chiang collection. These are films from 1969 to 1976. The 12-disc box set is scheduled to arrive on the market on September 26th. But here's the caveat: the release will be sold exclusively through the Shout Factory or Shout Studios website. So you can only get it on there, and it's yeah, it's a 12 movie set, and yeah, I just let me go through the movies here. So we've got Have Sword Will Travel, The Heroic Ones, Vengeance, The Anonymous Heroes, The Deadly Duo, Duel of Fists, The Duel, The Angry Guest, All Men Are Brothers, The Blood Brothers, seeing a bit of a trend here.
Hmm.
The Savage Five, and then Seven Man Army. Those are all of the movies in this set. Um, yeah, another Shaw Brothers set. So for those of you keeping track at home, in June they released Volume One of their Shaw Brothers classic sets. In August, Volume Two came out. In October, Volume Three is coming out, and in September, this set's coming out. So that is 4 sets in 5 months, Steven?
Are you sick of Shaw Brothers yet?
I
Or
don't know. I think is I can't keep up with watching all these movies, to be honest with you, and
yeah,
I don't even try anymore.
yeah, I wouldn't
When they
even
announce
try.
it, I'm like, I can't do it. There's like a dozen movies per set or something
Yeah,
like that, and I'm like, I can't do it. I did get to watch one of them here just to get a sense of the flavor, but to be honest, if you've seen a few Shaw Brothers films, you get a sense
it
of the
it
flavor. You really
it
do.
became it became a factory for
Of
movies with the similar
similar plots, similar vibes,
yeah.
similar action. They're tons of fun. Um, so yeah, so I watched Have Sword Will Travel. Internationally acclaimed director Chang Chi teams David Chang and T. Lung for the second time in the classic heroic bloodshed epic Have Sword Will Travel. Its title inspired by the lone gunman Hollywood hit TV show Have Gun Will Travel. There you go. T Lung is the armor of an armored van taking silver to the capital. Along the way, a mysterious knight, portrayed by David Chang, stalks him. Although he appears to be the robber, his intentions prove to be far more mysterious. What ends up happening in the movie that they don't tell you here at all is that the person who typically is the bodyguard in transporting this um, bunch of silver, he ends up losing his martial arts abilities in some type of mysterious supernatural way, and these two people basically have to team no, actually these 3 people have to team up and kind of do his job for him and stuff. That's the general gist of the movie, and then action and awesomeness ensues and whatnot. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
you get the a Mandarin and English dub, I think, for each film. So yeah, it's typical stuff. I don't think there's anything in the way of special features on this set, probably hence why it's being sold through their website, as an exclusive, but I think it is going to be rather limited because I think their website exclusives are rather limited. Maybe 2,500 a piece, or maybe it's 2,500 for their special bundle that comes with like postcards and a poster, stuff like that. Because I know Shout Factory does that a lot with their exclusives for their sites. Or really, to be honest, most stuff that they put out, they'll have a website exclusive like collector's edition version, which comes with some extra swag. Um, I think that's the case here as well. But yeah, that's the T Long / David Chang collection from Shout Studios.
Right.
Hmm.
Let's go over to Curzon.
Yes. So something we missed out last week was a rather big misstep on our part. Was this massive box set released from Curzon? in the UK, and it's the Lars von Trier A Curzon collection. Steven, you want to run these movies down because there's 14 of them.
Yeah, so starting with a short film of his called from 1978, The Orchard Gardener. We have from 84 with a 3K restoration. Don't hear that very often.
You really
um,
don't.
The Element of Crime from 1987, also with 3K restoration. Epidemic. From 88, you have the Medea. And then from 91, with the 4K restoration, you have Europa. And I believe this is that trilogy that is got a set from Criterion already.
Yeah, The Element of Crime, Epidemic, and Europa.
Yeah. So, and then we have the film Breaking the Waves from 1996, which I believe didn't that just get a 4K upgrade?
Yeah, that had a Criterion Blu-ray release years ago, and did it get a 4K upgrade?
I feel like
Let
I
me look.
remember recently getting an upgrade announcement. So,
Let me check. I'll check Criterion first, and then I'll check
yeah.
someplace else.
And then 90, then we have 98's The Idiots with the 4K restoration. From 2003, we have Dogville with a 3K restoration. The Five Obstructions from 2003. Mandalay from 2005. The Boss of It All from 2006 with the 4K restoration. Antichrist 2009, which of course does have a Blu-ray from Criterion. Melancholia from 2011. The Nymphomaniac, the Director's Cut, Volume 1 and 2 from 2013. And then The House That Jack Built from 2018. Saw that in theaters.
Did you now?
Yes, I did. Yes. Has over 18 hours of special features, including interviews with Lars von Trier and cast and commentaries, behind the scenes, featurettes, casting tapes, extended and deleted scenes, and theatrical trailers. Illustration by Danielle Castellano, designed by Andrew Bannister.
So you were right, Steven. Breaking the Waves did recently get an announcement that it's getting a 4K release from Artificial Eye, the company
There
Artificial
we go.
Eye. Yeah, Criterion still has their um, Blu-ray that they put out years ago, which had a new 4K digital restoration when it came out. But yeah, Artificial Eye is putting out a 4K of it in the UK on September 25th, so about a month and a half from now. But this set here is massive. Like Steven had just listed everything. I mean, Lars von Trier is not a filmmaker for everyone. He's not someone I think that a lot of people perhaps like his work. His work is very provocative, very out there, very unique, very um it can be very harsh. It can be also be
Yeah.
very harsh. If anyone has seen the movie Antichrist, you know what I'm saying. If you've seen even Breaking the Waves, is very harsh. Dogville as well. Nymphomaniac, of course. What a what a double feature epic, I guess. I guess
Yeah.
just epic in length and epic in scope. Really, if you think about it, specifically concentrating on sex addiction and something like that, um, and going from A all the way through Z when it came to um, and just the life story of that character in those films. What is interesting is I don't know if the Nymphomaniac if it's coming with the theatrical cuts either, because I remember when it came out here in the States, they released the theatrical cuts first, and then the director's cuts got released later, and you had to buy, I think, like 2 different releases if you wanted both cuts. I don't even know if I have it. I have a Lars von Trier section in my collection. I don't even know what's in it. I'm I haven't bought a lot of his work. Melancholia, I think, is still brilliant. Probably
Yeah.
one of his better films starring Kirsten Dunst. The first half of that film and the second half of that film are completely different, yet tied together in a rather unique way. But yeah, his work is very challenging to get into. You know what I mean? He was part of that whole Dogma 95 movement in the 90s. You know what's not here? Oh man. There's one of the for a film with that has nearly everything, it's missing one key film in my opinion. I'm gonna look it up right now. It's the movie with um Bjork. Yeah, I just blanked out there for a second while I was searching. But yeah, it's the movie. I know people probably Dancer in the Dark from 2000. Not in the set.
Hmm.
Huh. Very interesting. I found this movie randomly on a used DVD about a decade ago. Um, very interesting film. It's part musical, part drama. It's shot in like two different ways. Yeah, for those of you who haven't seen Dancer in the Dark, it stars the singer, songwriter, musician Bjork. Catherine Deneuve is in the film as well. Peter Stormare, David Morse, who was kind of a solid character actor. He's in this film as well as Udo Kier, just making an appearance just for Udo Kier's sake. Yeah, an Eastern European U.S. immigrant with a love for musicals has to cope with the gradual loss of her vision. Um, that's the premise of the movie. It's an interesting film, but yeah, it's not in the set. So
Hmm.
this set is not quite complete. Um, yeah, it's
Yeah.
missing in between The Idiots and Dogville. Dogville is a film that I kind of wish got a Blu-ray release here. There's a lot of his work that hasn't gotten Blu-ray releases here yet. The only release of Dogville is there's a Blu-ray and a Lars von Trier collection set in Germany, and then there's this release here, and that is it. That is it. That movie is rather unique. I think more so in the way it's set. It's the movie is set like on a fake stage, like with just set markings. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like you know how you would set a stage with like tape on the ground. And you'll say this is a door. So like when someone would approach a building, they would like open a door, like pretend to open a door, but the
Yeah.
door is not there. You know what I'm talking about? Like a stage play. Um, that's what I remember from that. Also, the movie is starring Nicole Kidman, and it's also another one of his kind of like harsher films. He has this thing about putting uh, women in very harsh plots and plot settings and stories, and where they're just kind of victims who are very much victimized in his films. I don't know why that's a thing, but that seems to happen a lot. But yeah, I could talk about this constantly, but we got to move on to something else. So moving on from there, Stephen, um, where do you want to go? I got a couple of things here um, that I could talk about just briefly
Yeah.
before we get
Yeah.
to our
Go ahead.
main headliner.
Gotcha.
Um, Unearthed Films has dated its upcoming Blu-ray release of Nick Rogue's film, The Full Body Massage from 1995. The reason why I'm mentioning this is because it's a Nick Rogue film, and it's a Nick Rogue film that I'm not sure a lot of people are aware exists. And
Yeah.
it's not one of his better films. I don't even think it's a great film in general, but I just thought it's an interesting film that's not quite an erotic thriller, but it's got a lot of sexual tension in it. So Nina, who's portrayed by Mimi Rogers, a successful but world-weary art dealer, is surprised to find that her regular masseur has sent a substitute who is portrayed by Brian Brown, who apparently was in the movie Cocktail. Who knew? To continue her weekly massage sessions. Fitch's, uh, yeah, his name is Fitch. Fitch's therapeutic caresses, while charged with sexual tension, gain emotional significance as the opinionated fair first clash, then bond, while relaying thoughtful meditations on intimacy and human relationships. Free to discuss her life, hopes, and failures, Nina is liberated from her confused world, indulging in a strange erotic mysticism with her handy muse. I don't know why you know why they put that word
Handy.
handy in there because he's a masseuse.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a movie that you think is going to be more kind of an erotic thriller, but it's not. It's more of a philosophical discussion that happens to take place while someone's getting a massage, which
Hmm.
is rather interesting.
Yeah. It's yeah.
Coming out,
It's
out November 7th. For those of you interested, yeah, and for those of you who don't know who Nick Rogue is, Nick Rogue did um, just some fantastic films. I think of the movie Walkabout. I think of Insignificance, which is a movie I know no one mentions. That's a Criterion release, and I think I've recommended to so many people. He also directed Don't Look Now, The Man Who Fell to Earth, The Witches. Um, yeah, he was a great director.
Most definitely. What else you got?
Okay, so I have this movie called Interrogation. Another British label that we never really talk about is called Second Run, and they're putting out um this movie called Interrogation, which just sounded very interesting to me. I didn't get a chance to watch it. It's a movie that came out in 1982, but I don't think it saw the light of day till probably much later because um, it was made under the USSR banner, like behind the Iron Curtain. And I think it's a film. I want to mention, yeah, it's a Polish film. So that's when Poland was under the regime of the Iron Curtain of the USSR. Description: based on true events and reflecting the Stalinist terror of the early 50s, Rizard, oh boy, this is gonna be brutal.
Mm,
Rizard Bogalski's harrowing film was banned under martial law in Poland, but survived and thrived on underground VHS through a copy smuggled out by the director at great personal risk. Interrogation was finally officially released in 1990 to great international acclaim. Holy heck. So, Tonya, a cabaret singer, is imprisoned without explanation. Days become months, varied only by the persuasion, intimidation, and torture of relentless interrogations. Yonda's outstanding depiction of a woman who finds strength and heroism in the face of torture and internment takes you to places few films are willing to explore. That sounds
okay.
fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, this comes with a new 2K restoration of the uncut version of the film. It's got an in-depth interview with the director. It's got a 40-page booklet that comes with it as well. And it's region free.
That's always good.
Yeah, and it's region free. It reminds me. Oh man, it reminds me of a Costa Gavras film. Um, who of course made tons of political films of the time, but I can't remember which one it was. Um, was it It it's not State of Siege. Was it Z? Mm, no, I can't remember which one it is. But yeah, there's a Costa Gavras
Is it
film that
the
has a similar.
confession? Is it the confession?
I think it may be. There's a Costa Gavras film put out by Criterion that that it has a very similar premise where someone is imprisoned and the whole movie is them just kind of being. I think it's a Costa Gavras film. Now that I say that, I may be.
Oh, maybe
Uh,
I.
actually, it may be the confession, which sounds a bit. Yeah, I think you're right, Steven. Yeah, Costa Gavras. Let's see. Um, yeah, it's The Confession, based on a harrowing true story from the area of Soviet bloc show trials. The Soviet bloc show trials. The film stars Yves Montand as a Czechoslovak Communist Party official who, in the early 50s, is abducted, imprisoned, and interrogated over a frighteningly long period and left in the dark about his captor's motives. Yeah, that's literally the premise of the movie that we
I,
just talked about.
I just want to say that I pulled that out of my brain, not from looking it up. Just want to say that.
I'm very proud of you because I
Thank
had to
you.
look it up myself.
I
And
mean,
I
did I really know the premise? No, but I knew that that was a Costa Gavra film that could have been the answer.
And what is interesting about this, actually, let me check before I say something stupid, let me check. So it is out of print, the Criterion Blu-ray is, and it went out of print so suddenly and so quickly that like they didn't announce it, like very few people knew about it. And it just so happened to be at the time, I think during one of the Criterion sales several years ago. And my store just happened to have it and I bought it immediately. And I have it in my
Um,
collection somewhere. So I got it. It's
yeah,
out of print though.
it's it's in my Criterion Barnes and Noble sell song.
Oh, there you go.
It's in the bridge of the song. I'll sing it for you. It's a the confession is out of print. The God is chomping at the bit. You got to get it right now. Yeah, that's the line.
Nice.
So yeah, it's in there.
Coincidence. So if you wanna put a specific date on when it went out of print, it's whenever Steven made that song.
I think it's 2018. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was several years ago. So yeah, so that premise and the present of interrogation, dead on similar. So
Yeah.
that's what really drew me to this release. So with that, I think now we
All
can
right.
actually not get to the grand finale because there are
Jesus
other
Christ.
stuff that we completely forgot.
What kind of bullshit was that? Some
I know.
tease? You teased the fuck out of me.
I
All right,
did.
go ahead.
I had to pivot hard just because there are some BFI releases
All
we didn't
right.
talk about
All
last week.
right, friends. Pivot. Pivot.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was a Friends reference. So you just said that. Well, I knew it, but I didn't want to mention
I
it.
reminded you. Yeah.
Yes. So we've got some BFI stuff that was announced last week that I think is coming out later this year, so around November. And one of them here is actually a volume 2. So we've got Ghost Stories for Christmas, volume 2, 1974 to 1978. We got 5 more festival landmarks making their Blu-ray debut. The films are The Treasure of Abbot Thomas from 1974, The Ash Tree, The Signalman, Stigma, and The Ice House. And then I think there's an extra film here as well called A View from a Hill from 2005. And there's another extra film here called Number 13 from 2006. Um, yeah, I'm just trying to see if there's any other movie that they slid into this set.
I know.
But it looks like they got commentaries for quite a few of these actually. And these are all like when I mean short films, I'm like 37 minutes, 32 minutes, 39 minutes, 32 minutes, and 34 minutes.
Yeah,
So
these were
legitimately short
these are
films.
TV, segments, movies, whatever you want to call them, for
Yeah,
BBC. So
that's exactly what these are. And yeah, this should go along right with the first set, which I know we covered
yeah, we
here
did.
once upon a time. But the next one, what do we got? We got Bluebeard's Castle, directed by Michael Powell. People can't see me now, but my hand just started shaking because it's a Michael Powell film that I need to get now. Um, so discover a lost masterpiece from acclaimed director Michael Powell, who directed The Red Shoes, Peeping Tom, Life and Death of Colonel Blimp. Um, uh, Steven, what's the big one that I'm missing?
49 Parallels.
Yeah, and the Black Narcissus was
Like
specifically the
Narcissus,
one I was
I know
talking about.
49 Parallels was not the one you were looking for.
No, it
That's
was
just the
not. But I
first
don't know
one
where
that
you
came
pulled
to my
that one
mind.
out.
Yeah, I know. I'm pulling out obscure movies
Yeah,
tonight.
yeah. No one really talked about the 49th parallel,
Yeah.
but this film here is directed by him as well, with the stunning adaptation of Bela Bartok's expressionist opera. Okay, we got another opera adaptation here, starring Norman Foster as the murderous Bluebeard and Anna Raquel Satter as his doomed wife Judith. This boldly original production was made for West Germany television in 1963, combining outstanding performances with spectacular production design. Um, Mike Powell concocts a daring and inventive interpretation of this haunting work, equal to the creative innovation of the iconic The Tales of Hoffman. Glad they mentioned that because I was just going to mention The Tales of Hoffman, which just got a Blu-ray release from Criterion. Unavailable for many years, Bluebeard's Castle has been painstakingly restored by the BFI National Archive, and the Film Foundation is presented here on its 60th anniversary in its original 1963 version and revised 1978 edition, and featuring limited English subtitles added by Powell. So, yeah, this is a big one. Just because of the name Michael Powell, immediately gets my attention.
Yeah.
It sounds like goes along with, like I said, the Tales of Hoffman. So yeah, if you're a Michael Powell enthusiast, completist, fan, whatever, this seems like a must buy. This is coming out November 20th as
Yeah.
well.
I'm definitely a Michael Powell and Pressburger fan. Um, I don't remember loving Tales of Hoffman though. It
It's
wasn't
a
really for
unique film to
me.
get through. You
Yeah.
gotta really love opera if you like that.
Yeah, it was tough, man. I don't know. I mean, I would definitely give, because I love them so much. I would definitely give that a second try. But if I don't like it again, then I don't. If it's like that movie, then I don't know that I'll love this. But I have to give them a try because they're such an impressive. Powell and Pressburger are such an impressive duo, and of course Michael Powell just by himself did some really great work, especially Peeping Tom.
Yeah, and
Um,
it's the movie he did. Well, it's the second movie actually he did after Peeping Tom, but um, yeah. So let's see, he did. I'm trying to see when he did. Yeah, Tales of Hoffman was 51, Peeping Tom was 1960, and then um, Bluebeard's Castle was 1963. But um, actually don't have the Tales of Hoffman yet, although I saw it at the sale that just happened in July. It's a film I want to have, but like you said, Steven, I don't think it's a film I'm going to see myself rewatching a lot.
It's more about
I gotta
completing
yeah.
yeah.
It's my collecting OCD of having to complete a specific director's filmography, even if it's a movie that I don't see myself rewatching a lot or watching a lot in general. Um, but yeah, so that's Bluebeard's Castle. Moving on from there, we've got an Ozu collection. 3 films by Yasujiro Ozu. Um, the films are Dragnet Girl, Record of Tenement Gentleman, A Hen in the Wind. And these are all one's from 1933, one's from 1947, and one's from 1948. Um, interesting. Seems so.
His 120th anniversary
That's what it is. I was
of his
wondering why
of
they were
his birth
releasing this.
of his birth. And these are early silent films. So this is really interesting.
Yeah, I'm trying to see because let's see.
Well, it says from his early silent films to his final feature in 1960s. Oh, and it's not silent films. I don't know if these are not silent films.
Well,
looks like maybe one
Dragnet.
of them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Dragnet Girl is a silent film
yeah.
because it is part of the Silent Ozu 3 crime dramas Eclipse set from Criterion. That's
Okay.
why this looked familiar because I think I may own this. It's from a series Eclipse set number 42. So I may have that. Let's see, what's the second film? Record of Tenement Gentleman.
Yes.
It's a yeah, it's a lot of his stuff has been released by Criterion already. So Record of Tenement Gentleman has not been. And then the last film in that set is A Hen in the Wind. Let's see, A Hen in the Wind, which is interesting because chickens don't
Huh.
chickens don't fly.
They don't fly.
They don't fly.
A soldier returns home at the end of World War II and refuses to forgive his wife for prostituting herself one night to pay off medical bills for their son.
Yeah, so only Dragnet Girl has been released by Criterion in one of their Eclipse sets. The other 2 have not. So that makes this set rather interesting. Although I am holding out hope for a Criterion Ozu set. Maybe it's a fool's hope. Maybe it's an idiot's hope. I just feel like they have enough of his movies to put a Bergman-esque style or Agnes Varda-esque style set of Ozu's films. Considering it's his 120th anniversary of his birth, I'm surprised they didn't do that for this year.
Yeah.
Kind of surprised. I know they did it for Bergman's 100th birthday.
That's why that set wasn't out. They haven't announced November yet.
Have they not?
No.
I keep forgetting what.
That's this coming week.
Okay, maybe. What are the odds, Steven? What are the odds?
Hey, you know how it is sometimes when one person announces something, then you get the other announcement like right after. So like maybe we're getting an Ozu box set announced this week, and we just haven't heard it yet.
Yeah, you're right. We still technically have 2 release months of this year left.
And December isn't going to be the month. They don't release big stuff like that in December, so it would have to be this November release slate. So we'll see. Hey, you called it last week with Possession 4K.
I did. I did.
Let's put it out there.
I'm telling you, they should. Yeah, they should just listen to me. I would love to like curate releases. Be like, yeah, just give me that Kurosawa complete set. Give me the Ozu complete set, etc., etc. But yeah, so there's one more release I think from BFI, right, Steven? Yes.
Yes.
We've got Short Sharp Shocks Volume 3. Say that 5 times fast.
Short sharp shocks. 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 Okay, it was starting to get weird.
That sounds like a broken record.
It was starting to sound weird.
So we've got another box set of short films. Settle down for another strange cinematic journey through uncanny stories, twists in the tale, low-budget weirdness, stylish spectacle, avant-garde art, peculiar public information, monstrous music, and provocative experiment. Many ultra-rare and all with oodles of atmosphere and in high definition.
Oodles.
Oodles, I say. I haven't used the word oodles in a long time.
I've never used that word on purpose.
I've used the word wowzers
Uh,
too many times in my
okay,
life.
I lied. The only time I ever used the word oodles is when I'm talking about the noodles.
I was just gonna say, yeah, oodles
Oodles
and
and
noodles.
noodles. Yeah, oodles and noodles. That's
I've
it.
used the word wowzers a few times, and I didn't realize that it is a reference to Inspector Gadget, the animated series.
Wowzers.
Wowzers.
I thought that was a Scooby Doo thing.
I guess that's also Zoinks. Zoinks is the
Zoinks!
is
Scooby Doo.
Shaggy. But the films in this short, sharp shocks set. Goodness, that's a lot to say. Return to Glensacool, Strange Stories, um, Strange Experiences, Maze, Skin Flicker, okay, Beach Litter, Broken Bottle. That's a minute long. I wonder what that's about. Firework Chick, also 1 minute long. Wings of Death, The Terminal Game, and that's it. And then you got some interviews here as special features. A first press only illustrated booklet, including new writing by directors Bob Bentley, Nicola Bruce, and Tony Bicot, who directed some of the stuff on here. So yeah, that's the BFI. So I guess sticking in the British area of literally British cinema and a British label, we are going to Indicator right now. And we've got ourselves a box set, Steven. I know how much you like them.
I like them. I love them. I want some more of them.
I hear that.
And they, I think, really now have set us up for an amazing October November release slate. This feels like should have been October, but it is it's November, and this looks amazing. We have The Criminal Acts of Tod Slaughter, 8 Blood and Thunder Entertainments. This looks amazing.
What a selling point. First of all, what a hell of a nickname, Tod Slaughter.
I know, right?
God damn, that's a hell of a
fucking
nickname.
Planned or something.
Really, like this guy was kind of born for these types of roles. But Steven, go run down all the movies that are in the set, and then I'll talk about them because in my deliriousness, I watched all 8 of these films. So let's go through them.
Fucking crazy. So the films in this set, we have Maria Martin, or The Murder of the Red Barn, I guess is the alternate title. Sweeney Todd, The Demon Barber of Fleet Street. This isn't the Johnny Depp movie, guys. Don't get too excited.
It's also not a musical.
We have The Crimes of Stephen Hawke. We have It's Never Too Late to Mend, The Ticket of Leave Man, and The Crimes at the Dark House. And them are all 2K restorations, new 2K restorations, and also with some 2K, I guess, previous 2K restorations. We have Sexton Blake and The Hooded Terror from a 35 in The Hood and Terror, and then high definition remaster of The Face at the Window. So I believe that's all of them. That's 8 films, and they are all, they all look to be very much like European horror, like just weird movies starring this guy, Tod Slaughter. I love the cover. I love it sets this mood. It's like off-putting to me. You kind of almost look like him, Andrew.
Oh, thank you.
No, I'm just kidding. You don't have the swish.
That's a compliment. Oh, if you watch the movie, maybe perhaps not. So yeah, these are 1930s British horror films.
Yeah,
and they're all British horror films set during the Victorian era, basically the 1800s.
Yeah,
and the person who plays the antagonist in all these films is this guy whom I'm just hearing of for the first time, called Norman Carter Slaughter, or Norman Carter Tod Slaughter. So Tod Slaughter, the first true icon of British horror cinema. He's showcased in this, as they say it here on the website, showcased in this long overdue box set featuring the 8 films which Europe's horror man made in collaboration with British producer director George King. This comprehensive collection also includes a number of rare shorts and newsreel items. Um, so yeah, so he's in the same so they go here and they say, like, unlike his contemporaries such as Boris Karloff and Charles Laughton, Tod Slaughter never left his native shores. Instead, he chose to make his mark in Britain by transferring his most sensational theatrical performances to the screen, portraying every kind of cruel and cunning criminal, from petty thief to mass murderer. He became the first great villain of British horror at a time before the grand Guggenol of Hammer films began to take hold, without once donning monster makeup. So yeah, this was pre Hammer horror British horror films. This is a historically significant box set, if
Yeah.
anything. And I can tell you straight up, the monumental work that Indicator must have gone through to do these restorations, or whoever did these restorations, um, must have been just incredible, because you can watch these movies right now, but they are in as worse aware of public domain prints as you can possibly find for these films. Most of them right now are available on Tubi. That's where I watched most of them. Like Murder in a Red Barn's available on Tubi. I think Sweeney Todd is available. Um, Sweeney Todd's available on Tubi. I'm just going through them right now, and it's you kind of get the sense that, yeah. So the Crimes of Stephen Hawke is also available on Tubi. I'm just gonna go through all these since I'm doing this, but you get the sense like at least half of these are available on Tubi, and they're public domain prints. They're not great. I know It's Never Too Late to Mend is not available on Tubi. Ticket to Leave is also not available on Tubi, but I think Sexton Blake and is no, it's not, but the last two are. So you know what I'm saying. But the ones that aren't available on Tubi are available to watch on YouTube in public domain prints. And they're watchable, but they don't look good, and you can tell that these movies need a lot of restoration work. And if they were able to pull that off with these, it's a goddamn miracle, really. To resurrect these films from public domain, graveyards, obscurity, all that stuff is quite impressive. Now, the films, for me at least, they're not great. They're fine. They're of their time. What's great about them, the run times of these movies are so damn short. We're talking anywhere between like 65, 66 minutes to like 77 minutes is the longest. So I
Yeah.
was able to just binge watch these back to back to back within a couple of hours. And I did it in 2 sessions. I did it in two 4 movie sessions. And yeah, it's a lot of work, but at least it's not these 3 hour epics that we're seeing today and stuff like that. But yeah, uh, the character or the actor of Todd Slaughter just plays um, these bad guys who are ahead of their time, these murderers, these manipulative creeps, these just assholes, you know what I mean? And he's always scheming to kind of frame somebody for murder or frame somebody for some type of crime or all this kind of stuff. And it's very much ahead of its time to really kind of a modern day horror characters, in my opinion. Because when I think of 1930s horror, I think of Universal monsters. You
Yeah.
know, Frankenstein, Dracula, the Wolfman, the Invisible Man. I'm thinking of people who have these supernatural uh, origins. And that's kind of what makes them scary. They're monsters. Whereas this guy just played just like human monsters, like murderers and sickos and psychos, stuff like that. And he's really good in each film. He's kind of the reason why to watch each film. Not every film has great plots, not every film has great acting, but he's always bringing it pretty hard in each film. And he's kind of the reason why you watch it, just to see what creepy and nefarious shit that he's up to. So yeah, this set is incredible. Once again, Indicator kind of, educating us as movie fans about who this guy is and what these movies are and their significance to film history, to British film history. Tons of special features on this release, Stephen. Like
Tons.
massive. Like it
100,
just goes
120
down and
page
down.
book.
Yeah,
I
and this
mean,
is another like it's an 8-film box set, which is a lot. It is coming out in both a US version as well as a UK version, so you don't have to import it if you don't need to. You don't have to worry about region encoding and stuff like that. You'll be good to go. Uh, but yeah, I'm excited for this set. Super excited about it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. As we've had on John and Sam from Indicator a few times, and they're always excited to expand our minds on British cinema, and this one's I'm very excited to delve into this. This looks like something right up my alley, especially for the run times. Some of these box sets, there's either so many films, or there's you know the films are just too long to really get into them, and complete them in a certain amount of time you want. But this seems like you said, you completed all the movies in a couple nights.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, if you really wanted to go through these, it probably wouldn't take you too long, and then you could really delve into the features and spend
Yeah,
time on that.
there are some interesting features here. First of all, that looks like there's an audio commentary on every single film. Um, but there's a new interview here with Imogen Slaughter, the great niece of Tod
Wow.
Slaughter, and her father Giles, in which they discuss their famous relatives' life off stage and off camera. Um, that is amazing. That is incredible um because Tod Slaughter, I mean, he was born I think in 1885. And I think he died in the 1950s. So his yeah, just to get a sense of who he was as a person from a relative, or from relatives in general, to find that type of connection to someone like this who, lived so long ago and was working so long ago in the movies and just entertainment in general. Um Yeah, it's incredible, just
Yeah.
incredibly deeply archival stuff. Um, yeah, once again, I think Indicator and Severin, I think, are the king of box sets. I
Yeah.
really do. Like,
Yeah, they
the
are.
amount of work and stuff just going into these,
I mean,
and
there's
production.
some great box sets from every,
True, true.
but it's, I think, the consistency and the places they go with the box sets is I'm always just super into what they're doing. One of the features I'm excited to check out is this Stephen Thrower. Speaking of Severin, Stephen Thrower has got a whole thing here on Tod Slaughter, and dissects the multiple villainous incarnations. So that looks amazing. But I yeah, God, they just know I love box sets. They
They
hear
do.
me.
They
They
got
hear
you.
me. They just keep hitting home runs for me. Um,
Yeah,
Love it.
for those of you interested in more kind of what these movies are about, um, Murder in a Red Barn is a darkly sinister film where Tod Slaughter plays this guy who manipulates this young woman she's in love with somebody else, but he manipulates her to take advantage of her and like prey upon her sexually and stuff. Really sinister stuff. And yeah, he's really sinister in that. Sweeney Todd, obviously we all know the Demon Barber of Fleet Street. He's if you've seen the Tim Burton film, he's killing people and turning them into meat pies. And
Yes.
it's really sinister stuff going on. Um, The Crimes of Stephen Hawke, um, yeah, is not particularly great. Maybe one of the weaker films in here. Um, it's about like a wicked moneylender and stuff like that. It's not great. For me, It's Never Too Late to Mend is maybe one of the better films in this set, in my opinion. An evil prison administrator cruelly abuses the inmates at his prison until one day the tables are turned. Yeah, it's a movie dealing a lot with like just messed up uh, criminal systems and penitentiaries, and if anything, it's something that's relative to today in terms of, the capital prison system and all that kind of stuff. Um, Rather, yeah, it's a pretty decent film. Um, The Ticket of Leave Man, a man is accused of a series of murders that were actually committed by a crazed killer called the Tiger. He must prove his innocence and catch the murderer. The person who's committing the murders is Tod Slaughter, and yeah, he's called the Tiger, and he like crushes people to death by giving them like a bear hug or something. It's wild. It's wild. Um,
Cool.
Sexton Blake and the Hooded Terror is actually an adaptation of like a popular, I think, like series of novels or something like that, or books. It's basically kind of like a lower version of Sherlock Holmes stories, um, which is kind of unfortunate because you know it's not great. But apparently, like the Sexton Blake novels were adapted in like the early 1900s during the silent era. They were adapted in 1938. They were adapted in the 40s. Um, yeah, as it says, Sexton Blake and Tinker, who is his like assistant, his Watson, foil a criminal plot connected with the Tongs and masterminded by the famous stamp collector and millionaire. These are
Ah,
like ridiculous. You understand what I'm saying? They're kind of like ridiculous, like gimmicky stories, and you're kind of only watching for Tod Slaughter's over the top performances and evilness. So, The Face at the Window, though, in 1880, the criminal called the Wolf is responsible for a murderous rampage in France. When the Brisson Bank is robbed in Paris and the employee Michel is murdered, the wealthy Chevalier Lucio Delgado is the only chance to save the bank. Chevalier proposes to owner M. de Bresson to deposit a large amount of gold, but in return, he would like to marry his daughter Cecile. This is, I believe, the Chevalier Lucio Delgado character is Tod Slaughter. So once again, he's like preying upon women. There's a thing in this film where he's just in these films where he's preying upon women, jealous of other men that are courting these women, and he wants to like frame them and get them out of the picture. That's like his motive in a lot of these movies.
yeah.
However, Cecile is in love with the efficient clerk Lucien Courtier that belongs to the lower classes and refuses the engagement. In order to rid off the rival, Chevalier uses evidence to incriminate Lucien, manipulating the incompetent Parisian chief of police. So you understand what I'm saying. But in the backdrop of all of this is this wolf character who like scares people to death by showing up in their windows, and he's like this monstrous wolf man person, and he's like killing people by like scaring them to death and stuff. And that's The Face at the Window. And then Crimes of the Dark House, which I think is probably the most, I think, well known. Um, yeah. So in this film, Todd Slaughter murders this guy and then tries to take over his identity because he thinks he's wealthy, and it turns out he's not. He's not really wealthy. And he's got a lot of debts and he's got a lot of problems. But he takes over the guy's estate and tries to turn it around. But people around him are kind of skeptical of his identity. So when they find out that he is not who he says he is, he murders them. And he keeps doing it to the point where he can't, you can't keep up that ruse for very long. That's the premise of the movie. He's once again this villainous murderer and stuff. The poster of this movie is kind of great. Crimes of the Dark House. But yeah, you get the gist of all of these movies. They're kind of these hour and 10-minute long short serials, really, where they're cut to the bone and they're very efficient and they're entertaining and all that kind of stuff. But I've talked about this forever just because this was literally the bulk of my week. This
Yeah.
is literally what I spent doing. I went delirious watching these movies. Just sitting on at my chair for so long and watching them. So I gotta get all this out. I gotta get all this
Yeah.
knowledge and purge and these thoughts out. So
Well,
thank you for letting
that's
me do that, Stephen.
that. That I wouldn't. Why would I stop you?
I don't know. I don't
Other
know. I
than the
tend to
fact that
ramble.
it's other than well, but this is hopefully the end of the night. So if it's the last thing we're talking about, I got to let you get it out.
Yeah, I think I
Uh,
saved all of that for the end. All
okay,
of that
good.
for last.
I just know how you are when you're like, oh wait, I got another release to talk about. I'm
Yeah,
just
so I got nothing else to talk about. I think
okay.
we're I think we're all caught up.
All right, cool. Well, yeah, that as soon as I saw the image of this set, I was like, dude, this is gonna be all me. And the way you describe it, I think I'm gonna be really into this because it is gonna be something that's I think really easy and accessible for people to want to get into and watch, and sounds fun. Sounds fun. And let's not also forget that there are a couple of standard edition uh, releases coming out of the Santo films that they put out, I believe earlier this year, maybe. Santo versus Evil Brain and Santo versus Infernal Man.
Yeah,
Um,
that double
double Santo set.
that
Yeah.
double feature Santo limited edition that they put out sold out. So now they're releasing them individually. There is also something connected to um this set, which I think is coming out sold separately. That's that book.
Yes.
It-
Yeah.
yeah, that's that book that is um called Mr. Murder: The Life and Times of Tod Slaughter, the paperback book that you can buy separately. I think this is all about Tod Slaughter. It's
Yeah.
kind of a biography. There was a direct connection with someone that I think that we had interviewed before, and I wanted to check up on that, but I don't know if I'm gonna end up tracking that down.
We talking about one of our previous guests worked on
I
it.
think or had a family member work on it or something. I think it was that is not that is not the way I want to spell that. Um, hold on, let me do a quick look see while you.
I don't. I mean, Michael Brook is another person that we've interviewed from Indicator. I don't know who you're referencing.
Oh, this
Um,
is it. Okay, here we go. Sarah Appleton.
oh
I
well,
found
yeah,
it.
yeah.
So she wrote on her Twitter page on August 11th, which was a couple of days ago, indicator of partnered with my mother's company, hemlockbooks.co.uk, to create this awesome Tod Slaughter bundle that includes my dad's book, Mr. Murder, Go On. Yes, she says, Mr. Murder, Go On, pre-order now. So this is her dad's book.
It's awesome. Yeah,
So that's a direct
great.
connection with us. Yeah, Mr. Murder, The Life and Times of Tod Slaughter is the definitive biography of Tod Slaughter.
Yeah, I've been. I might get it. I might get the book as well because I'd like to learn more about him. Since he was kind of seems like he was kind of a hidden, figure of that time when, like, as they kind of compare him to like Bela Lugosi and other, horror actors of that time, that he was kind of one that seems to be behind the scenes, that because he stayed, like he said, he stayed in Britain, and didn't come to America to get the biggest, I guess, in the sense, the biggest stage in the world when Hollywood was booming. So um, yeah, I mean, this is I'm all in, of course, like usual.
Oh
But
yeah, yeah. So that is everything.
that is it.
I am exhausted.
Yes.
I just
So
wanted to make sure that so the book is sold separately from the set, but you can
yes,
bundle them together. I believe that's part of their bundle for this month. If you click on bundle, um,
you'll get your. I think it's 10% off.
yes, yeah, there is no multi-product bundle for this month, obviously, since there's one release. But if you add the code bundle at checkout, you will receive a 10% discount on the criminal acts of Tod Slaughter. Should you also wish to buy a copy of the Mr. Murder book at the same time as pre-ordering your copy of our Tod Slaughter Blu-ray box set, then using the bundle code at checkout will grant you a 10% discount across both Slaughter-related items. Okay, so that's the connection.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. That concludes spine number 111 of Chasing Labels. How do you feel, Andrew? Like you said,
Feel good.
exhausted. Feel good. Good.
Feel right.
All
All's right
right.
in the world.
All right. Well, Andrew, where can you be found?
You can find me on Twitter or X as
X. Yeah.
Cabzilla06. And then you can find us also on our YouTube channel, Chasing Labels.
And you can find me on Facebook, Stephen Billings. You can find me at the other Chasing Labels places, X. You can find me there. You can find me on the Instagram. You can also find me at my Letterboxd. I haven't been watching a lot of movies lately, so there ain't much there. But sometimes I post there. But that's the life of a parent.
Yeah, mine's the opposite. My
It's the
letterbox
opposite.
is
Constantly
constantly
flowing.
full. I
Yeah.
could, yeah, I could. I could give you my list of how many movies I've seen this year, Steven.
1 jillion per billion.
It is currently sitting at 513.
That's low numbers, man. Jeez.
I know. That's some rookie numbers.
That's rookie.
Gotta get those numbers up.
Yeah. But you can find the audio for the podcast on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher for a little bit longer, I think, Spotify, and other places. Thanks again for listening. And hey, keep on watching them movies.
I know I will.